Hi guys! Wow, that's cool. I can hear myself now. That's kind of neat. I don't know if I was supposed to give away that little secret, but so sorry that we're late. We had some technical difficulties with some new stuff that we're trying out. So at least we'll have some neat things to show you tonight to try out, because I'm the guinea pig before the guys do their stuff. Because then when the guys do their stuff, it's got to be perfect. And I am good with being the guinea pig. Anyways, so tonight, before I start on what we're talking about, because it can get really cruddy, the subject is not so fun, but it's a necessary subject, that's for sure. I'd like to show you guys what I'm doing. So a few weeks back, I showed you this sign that I was making for our friend Amy. And so Amy and I decided that she needed some pretty to it. So tonight, instead of lettering, I'm actually doing some flowers on here, which will be fun because I don't have to focus as much on that. So we're talking, the main story tonight is the epidemic that is the biggest epidemic in the world, in our country, but it's the most quiet one. And I, for one, am really curious as to why that is. I think I have some ideas on why that is. But we're going to be talking about a lot of things. But first, before I get into the big subject, I just wanted to touch on something. So here in Estacada, we're growing really fast. We just found out, like, in the last year, I think we've had over 979 new people moved into town just this last year. And it can be really hard, especially if we live in Estacada. Most people live in Estacada to get away from the big city. The great thing about new people is that the businesses can do really well. It's good for tourism, brings more families, visiting people, all that kind of stuff. The hard thing about it is traffic, and, we're fuller, and not necessarily everybody agrees with everybody, so it can be really hard. A big thing for us is with our nonprofit is we try to take care of whatever we can. So there's a lot of nonprofits in town. There's people and every nonprofit has their little niche, and I think that's cool. In our town, we have quite a few, and they all take care of somebody in some way. And we're just one of those nonprofits, and it's a lot of fun. It can be really hard, though, when you have negative energy coming from people with a, how do I put this, agenda to mess with you just because they don't particularly like your views. And when you're outspoken, that kind of happens. So we've been dealing with that this week, but the best thing about it is that we're going to keep helping people and keep doing what we do. So if you're going through something where people are giving you a hard time because of the way you think, or because they're jealous, I guess is a good way to put it, just keep loving people and forget about them, because it's their problem, not yours, honestly. So moving on. I've got a couple videos tonight. I've got a few pictures tonight. I've got a lot to say. So before I get into the videos, I wanted to talk about, I found this article. It's labeled Trafficker in Chief. The GOP rep who visited the border rips Biden, and it's a Daily Wire article. And so I'll have Joel put in the comments the article link once, maybe after the show, because I don't think I sent it to him. But I wanted to read a little bit about this. It's really interesting. After traveling to the southern border with other Republican members of Congress and seeing the humanitarian crisis in person, Florida Representative Kat Cammack, a Republican, blasted President Biden, referring to him as the trafficker in chief, and saying she can't even in good conscience call him president. There's a better way to do this, Carmack replied. It is with what the Trump administration was doing. It was the most humane, compassionate, and normal way for putting Americans first, our national security first. And I would challenge Representative Escobar to actually call this what it is, a crisis. It's not a situation, it's a crisis. And she goes on to say, that she has to call Biden trafficker in chief because these children are being trafficked. And then she says, the fact that my Democrat colleagues won't call the situation a crisis, they have to call it anything but. It's a challenge, it's a situation, it's not an emergency in their books. And when you have 20,000 children in custody and Border Patrol agents are stretched thin to the max, we're watching cartel members taunt our Border Patrol agents as they're sending these children under 6 years old across the river by themselves. This is a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions. And so let's start calling it what it is. That's what she said. And it goes on to say that last month, 170,200 migrants were apprehended crossing the southern border illegally. March also saw the most migrant children crossing the border in history, with 18,890 unaccompanied minors. Just in March, you guys. The previous record was around 11,000 several years ago. On Thursday, the House Minority Whip Steve Scalise stated on Fox and Friends, I've talked to a lot of people that have been on the ground. It's beyond a disaster. What they've done, not only to these border towns, the mayors, you hear them, Democrat and Republican, is expressing outrage over what President Biden has created. So this is the other side of the border crisis. And I really wanted to talk about this tonight because I don't think people think about this. We think about the border crisis bringing in more drugs, which I've talked about that, I think last week or the week before, how it went from like 1,000 or 2,000 overdoses of fentanyl in 2019 or 2020. And then in 2021, it went all the way up to like 200,000. It's a big difference once that border was opened up. And think about that in terms of kids being trafficked and being put into this dangerous situation. Obviously, that's increasing as well. And when you think about that, it's absolutely heartbreaking. And when I was doing this research, I saw this video on PragerU about this guy that he started this organization that, sorry, someone said, my mom says she's waiting for her sign. I'm saying a lot. Sorry, guys. I'm really affected by this. So it'll get me saying a lot because I'm trying to think of the right words to say. So this gentleman started an organization called Our Underground Railroad. And it's basically talking about the new slavery. Basically, slavery didn't stop. It just transformed into this human trafficking. So there is a short video I wanted to show first. I believe it's the third video, Joel, to kind of show you what this organization is.
A $150 billion industry, one of the fastest growing criminal enterprises in the world. There are 30 million people trapped by it today. And the only way it's going to stop is if we do something. We're talking about modern-day slavery. Slavery was not abolished in 1865. It exists today in various forms, and it's growing. Here is our plan for fighting the most heinous type of human slavery: child sex trafficking. Right now, there are 2 million child sex slaves throughout the world, not just overseas or in third world countries, but in America as well. Sex traffickers often recruit children because there is a high demand for young victims. Criminal organizations are attracted to human trafficking because, unlike drugs, humans can be sold repeatedly. We're here to tell you there are people doing something about it. We are Operation Underground Railroad, a team of former CIA and military personnel created to rescue trafficked children and dismantle these criminal networks. We provide law enforcement around the world with the required tools, resources, and training to take down this industry. We work together as a supplement to the government. No rescue operation happens unless we're all on the same page. Once rescued, children are reunited with their parents, if possible. OUR Aftercare ensures there are reputable shelters, orphanages, or safe houses, so every victim has high-quality care. Aftercare and rescue go hand in hand. Each are just as vital. You can't have one without the other. The only way human trafficking is going to stop is if each of us does something. Learn more by going to OURrescue.org.
I urge you guys to check this website out. It is incredible. I was on there for hours today reading a lot of the stories they have of missions they've gone on, of people that they've helped and that have and now are helping in the aftercare portion of it. It is incredible. There's so many stories on there. There's one about Grady, and it's like an 8-part series so far. And I won't go into too much detail because I want you guys to really read it and watch the videos on it. It's incredible. This little boy went missing, and his dad is a part of helping to find him. And since they've been looking for him, they have saved about, I think it was 3,000 kids by looking for him. And his dad said that if searching for my son, that's, if we never find my son, which is a heartbreaking thing to even think of, but if we never find my son, but we've saved all these kids, that's his legacy. That is something that we should be proud of, and it's just, oh my goodness, it's heartbreaking. I wanted to read a quote and tell you a little bit more, and I want to tell you some of the story. So the gentleman that started this, he was in CIA and government work, and they had sent him undercover, and he and his wife were like, at first they said, no, you can't do this. This is going to bring this evil, this darkness into our home. And then they changed their minds. And when they changed their minds, he did this work, and then he found, if I continue doing it this way, I can't save these kids. And he goes into detail in a video I'm going to show you later, a little bit more. But if I wanted to save this specific kid, I would have to leave my job. And he and his wife talked about it, and they decided that that's what they were going to do. And they started this nonprofit, Operation Underground Railroad. And it's just completely because of their passion and their intention for this, it is blown up, and they save kids all over the world. Now, they can't be boots on the ground in America, from what I understand. The law enforcement is, but they do help. He also said that America is the #1 buyer of children, if you can fathom that. Because we are the most developed nation with the most amount of people, that's partially why. And in the PragerU video I watched, which I won't be showing you guys, but if you want to see, go look up the PragerU video of him. He talks about how when you are pushing so much of this sexuality and porn into our industry, and I'm not saying that porn's all bad, but there are people that'll get so into it that they need more and more and more, and they go down this rabbit hole. And also with kids, when they're being shown on the media, all the sexuality on Instagram and social media and TV shows and everything, that it becomes normal to them. It becomes okay, and then they get lured from a lot of these sex traffickers in our area use Instagram and social media to lure kids. They talk about how, oh, you could be a model and I'd love to do photo shoots of you, or something similar to that, or I'd love to audition you for a show. And these kids go, and they end up getting put into the sex trafficking ring, and it's just horrible. It's just awful. To me, okay, I know that I've been harping a lot on this stuff, but I think it's the most important thing facing us right now. We can argue about everything under the sun, but all of us can agree that our kids are important. And you got to think, okay, this is happening because of other things. So when we get upset about Disney wanting to sexualize our kids, it's not because we disagree with lifestyles. It's because of the sexualization of our children. When we get pissed that people call it the Don't Say Gay bill, it's not, first of all, because it doesn't say that in it, but it's because it literally is protecting kids from kindergarten to 3rd grade from being taught in school things that are about sex and sexuality and gender and all these things that at that age they should not be shown or taught or even thinking about. And the more we put this stuff into our children's brains, the more widespread this becomes. It's like a snowball effect. So when we get upset about these things, when we talk about the sexy sex ed that I talked about and all these things, it all comes together and it's this huge crisis. And the media is so silent about it. And I have to ask why. And I think one of the reasons is because some of them are a part of it. Some of them are making too much money that they can't look past their checkbooks. And it's just horrible. I mean, if you think of even just the statistics, 60% of children coming across the border are coming through smuggling across the border are sexually assaulted. And this is because, the drugs are coming across, right? You can sell drugs once, but you can sell a kid over and over and over again. And so these guys are like, well, these people, I guess, equality, these people are seeing these kids as money makers and not as human beings. And then you think about COVID, the lockdown just totally made this worse. It blew up way worse. It has become way worse because you think about these kids that are in these situations and now they're locked down and nobody is worried about them. And nobody asked when we decided to lock everything down, are we endangering the kids? Why is nobody asking what's happening to our kids? Why is nobody asking if our kids are safe, if our kids are okay? We're more worried about our own personal feelings about equality and this and this and this. And I want to be able to talk about the fact that I'm a man today and a woman tomorrow, instead of our kids safe? Is this safe for our kids to even be in their mindsets right now? And is this going to lead down the road to what we're dealing with right now? And that's why it gets me so pissed off. And somebody said, why hasn't this been made a bigger deal in the news? Exactly. Why? And that's why I'm talking about it, because if nobody else is talking about it, I'm going to talk about it forever, because our kids are everything. They're innocent, they're beautiful, they're wonderful, and they're our future. And being a mom myself, I can't even imagine going through this. And we need to protect our kids. I mean, that's it. And so I have a video I wanted to show. It's a little long and I might talk through it a little bit, so bear with me. But it's the first video and I think it's about 6 minutes long, but it talks about this Underground Railroad and a little bit of what they do. So take a look and we will watch it.
How many girls can you bring?
50.
50. Good.
50 niñas.
¿Cuántos años tienen ustedes?
So this is like their undercover work.
Le dije $1,000.
O más. O más.
My name's Tim Ballard. I'm the founder of Operation Underground Railroad, which is an organization dedicated to fight human trafficking and child exploitation. Before that, spent
that was the
12
kid
years
that
as a
you just saw
special
the
agent
picture
and
of.
undercover operator, mostly working child crimes and human trafficking investigations. If people knew what was happening there, they would be shocked. Obviously, I have a lot to say about border politics and the trafficking of children and what's happening to the children that are being smuggled and or trafficked into the United States. The United States is generally acknowledged as the #1 consumer of child rape material, child exploitation material. So start doing the math and you think, okay, so where the demand, there's kids who are vulnerable, who are taken, who are lured, who are kidnapped, and the market is the United States. How do we get kids into that market? And so when you start with that and you understand that there's cartels, so they make about $14 million a day in the business of getting kids and people into the United States. We have a policy that facilitates it. If you're in Nicaragua and you want to come to the United States, you paid a couple $1,000s to a smuggler. That smuggler will get you to the border and then hand a child to you.
You hear
We've
that?
been down on the
policy that
I
makes
worked there
this
for 10 years.
worse,
We've seen this.
basically.
We know this is happening. And they put the child into the hands of this client and they say, just tell the Border Patrol that this is your kid. And they get in, and then 72 hours later, they're released. And then they call a number, drop the kid off, and the kid's just recycled. There's about 26,000 unaccompanied minors who came across. The ones we found, by the way. And so they're in the protection, custody, care of the United States. What happens to them? So again, U.S. sex market, biggest in the world, children taken pretty easily through lure or through different ways in these very impoverished, desperate places. How do you get that kid into the United States? Well, just send them over. Send them over, put them on a raft, push them over the river. And a Border Patrol agent will actually, it's not their fault, by the way, they're just following policy, but they actually facilitate the trafficking. They're like, oh, come here, come sit in this detention center, and now you just need anyone from the U.S. to come in. Easy to falsify paperwork claiming a familial relationship, right? Hey, little Miguel's my nephew. Well, there you go. It's this crazy thing that people are playing politics with, and they're playing politics with the lives of children.
Right?
I was asked early on to work in the child crimes and the trafficking unit, early 2000s. It was new to all of us. And I started looking at cases dealing with child exploitation material. And it was just in abundance. And so many of the kids were in locations we couldn't identify, many foreign produced, and how could we ever find them, right? And there was a case that broke me. It was 2006, when one of the children that I had seen in the video, we found coming across port of entry. The guy's name was Earl Buchanan. You can look him up. He was smuggling or trafficking these children, and he was actually producing child exploitation material with these children that he was getting and taking across the border. And I saw this child, and the child ran to me at one point and hugged me. And said to me at 5 years old, I don't belong here. And his perfect English was almost shocking to me because I thought he would speak Spanish. His perfect English because he's been basically raised by this monster who had him since he was a baby. And I thought, this is what I will dedicate the rest of my life to doing, is trying to find these children who are being exploited and who are being trafficked. About that same time, the U.S. changed its laws, which allowed for the first time U.S. agents to go overseas, investigate sex tourists, and hold them accountable overseas for raping children as if they committed
This is
that
why
crime
we
on
need
US
better
soil.
policies,
I
you
was
guys,
put
because
on many
the
cases
policy
internationally.
is that if they come to the border and they have a kid, within 72 hours they're released, like he
And
said.
I can't
and
believe
then they
that
just keep
it's on the beaches of
recycling
these
these
cities and
kids
towns
and
through
abusing them
Central and
along
South
the way.
America that I'm working in the Caribbean. The problem was I could only stay on the case if I found a nexus back to the United States.
Oh, this is how
If this
he
case couldn't be
started.
prosecuted in a U.S. court, I had to come home. There's a couple of cases I was working, one in Colombia, one in Haiti, where I got so far deep, probably deeper than I should have, into the investigation, and I knew that walking away would end the
Could you
investigation.
imagine that? Like
And so
having to choose between
I told my wife about it. I said, what do we do?
walking
She said, do you
away
think you can rescue
or
those
staying?
kids
What would you guys do?
if you stay? I said, yeah, but the only way I can stay is if I quit. She was almost disappointed in me. She's like, are you kidding me? You're telling me that if you quit your job, you might be able to liberate children who are sex slaves?
Good for
and
his
you're even
wife,
questioning
man.
what we're to do? She's like, you're going to quit your job. That was when I turned in my badge, my gun, and we launched out. It was Operation Underground Railroad.
That's so awesome.
So we went in and did these two operations and rescued over 100 women and children on that Colombia operation. And then in Haiti, there was another case that we found this group of 28 children who were being sold out of a false orphanage. We busted that place up, got those kids out, and actually my wife and I adopted 2 of those children.
Isn't that
who
cool?
have been home for 3 years now with
Gosh,
us.
I would have so many kids.
And
you guys-
they're a reminder to me of every day of
Joel
why
would be
we
like,
do
okay, we gotta stop now.
when I can see the happiness of liberty on their faces every day, knowing what the trajectory of their life was actually heading to otherwise. And that's what keeps me personally motivated to keep up this fight. And today we're in 26
Can you
countries.
believe
and
that
most of the states in the United
nobody's
States supporting
talking about this?
Our amazing law enforcement here as well.
Why
to
is
fight
nobody
human trafficking
talking
and
about
child
this, you
exploitation.
guys? Unbelievable. Okay, before we talk more, I've got to show you a sponsor. So, if you want to start letting people know what's going on, a great way to do that is to get a big old sign. You can get one that says stop human trafficking, save our kids, or whatever you want it to say. But we know a great place in town that does amazing signs, and that's Whitney Signs. They Okay, we be back since Joel cut me off while I was talking. Honestly though, like, can you imagine being in that position where you're like, you're doing good work, right? You're doing good work, you're helping people, but you're told you have to come home to continue your job that supports your family, and if you come home, you can't save these kids. Or you can stay, start a whole new nonprofit, and you have no clue what's going to happen, but at least you know you have a chance of saving those children. I think I would have made the same choice, honestly. And it's just good for his wife for supporting him. You guys, good for her. But the reason I've been harping on this stuff and leading up to this is because of this right here. This is the biggest problem that is going on in our country, in our world, and nobody wants to talk about it. And you got to ask yourself why. Because it's a money-making business, okay? And a money-making business, and they've lost all humanity. All humanity. Humanity doesn't matter. And then COVID, think about COVID. When we're locked down, and I don't want to talk about COVID a bunch, but when we were locked down, and I don't know if you guys noticed this, but just even person to person in your town doing anything, people became less compassionate, and we saw each other as less human. Our faces are covered, you couldn't see expressions. And then you think about that in terms of sex trafficking, human trafficking, especially with our kids, and how much easier it becomes to turn a blind eye when you've lost part of your humanity. This is why I harp so much on loving each other, being there for each other, forgetting about the negative crap, taking care of your neighbor. And yes, one by one makes a difference. Taking care of one person at a time, loving one person at a time, doing their yard, bringing them groceries, checking their mail, helping them cross the street. Anything is better than ignoring them and letting them be alone. And again, see something, you say something. People need to be more vocal about this problem, and we need to stop it where it's starting. That means in our schools. Stop letting them sexualize our kids. Stop letting them sexualize you know, if you have to boycott Disney, boycott it. The way to speak to them is your money. And if they're not getting your money because they're too busy injecting sexual things, whatever kind of sexual things, into our kids' media, our kids' everything that Disney does, if we stop giving them our money, then they'll stop doing that because they're doing it because it makes them money. So it's a vicious circle, you guys. There are ways that we can fight this. It might feel small, but every little bit makes a difference. Every little bit makes a difference. And I had more notes I wanted to read, so hold on a second. So, I'm trying to remember what it was that I wanted to say. I lost my thought. Sorry, lupus brain. Apologize for that. Anyways, you want to see the flower I've got so far? See that sunflower? That was about 4 layers. So the way to make a really good sunflower is you want to do a layer of one color, and then you add like highlights on the ends, and then you blend it together, and then now I'm going to add some more light stuff in there to add some depth. Anyways, so this Operation Underground Railroad is a really cool program. I suggest you guys all check that out because They have so many stories on there. They have so much going on. And if you can support them in any way, even if it just means sharing what's going on, do it, please. We need more people talking about this, because right now they said that, I saw an article today that said conservatives are going QAnon on Disney because they're trying to make us sound like conspiracy theorists. They're trying to make it sound like getting upset about sexualizing our kids is just being the sky is falling, or flat earthers. They're trying to compare us to that. And that, it's got to stop. When do we finally say enough is enough? And why is it that there's a certain group of people, and I'm not talking about Democrats or Republicans, I'm talking about a certain group of people, that they're more concerned about making themselves feel better, making sure that they feel accepted, and they're willing to impose that on our children. It's not right, you guys. No adult should impose their feelings over any child's safety, ever. Somebody said the current president has an island adjacent to Epstein's island. Well, I'm not surprised with him sniffing kids and all the weird stuff he does. Now, speaking of president, before I move on, did anyone see the video of Obama at the White House? Was it yesterday or the day before? He came and he gave a speech, and he's acting. I mean, we all know this is Obama's third term, right? Biden's just the front guy. But he's speaking, and then he's walking around greeting people, and Biden is just looking around, completely lost. Nobody's talking to him, because you know what? They're ready for him to take the fall. I don't know if you guys realize that, but they're setting him up. The media is now allowed to talk bad about him. And so Obama's walking around, everybody's walking with him, talking to him, because they look at him as if he's this god or something. It's amazing. I mean, the guy does have charisma, but he's evil as hell. And they're shaking his hand and laughing with him. Kamala's next to him and laughing with him. And Biden comes up to him and literally is holding onto his shoulder and saying, Barack, Barack, Barack. And you can hear him. And Obama is completely ignoring it. The Democrats used this senile old man, got what they wanted out of him, and now they're letting him take the fall. And you can clearly see that, because in the primaries of the election, they were all about other people. Biden didn't even think he'd win. They were pushing other people, and then Bernie was the popular one. Well, they couldn't support that because he was not good for the billionaires. He wasn't good for their agenda as far as money goes. So they back Biden. Biden gets pushed into this, right? So now they went from talking crap about this guy to now all of a sudden he is an adult in office. And if you watch, there are so many videos, you guys, if you look on media, there are so many videos of right after he was elected. Everybody on mass media was saying, finally the adults are in charge. Finally the adults are in charge. It's come up with something new, people. It's insane. So now, finally the adults are in charge. They're praising him, praising him, praising him. And now if you noticed in the last month or two, the media has basically been allowed, because once SNL makes fun of you, you know that the media has been given the okay to talk crap and to bring you down. So it's only a matter of time before they continue on with their plan, which has been planned all along, to get the power shifted into more in their favor. So watch out, guys, because that's happening, and I see it coming. Someone said people are so caught in their own world, they don't care to look outside of it. Everyone counts, no matter how small. Yeah, and that's sad. Isn't that sad? People are caught up in their own little world that they don't even bother to look outside of it. And then when those of us who care about kids speak about this stuff, we're told that we're conspiracy theorists, that we're being doomsdayers, or we're crying wolf. Well, that's not the case, you guys. I urge you to do your research on this. I urge you to look into it. There is so much going on that nobody's talking about, and it's time that we start talking about it. There is another small video I wanted to show you guys, and then we're going to talk a little bit more. And I know we started late, so I'm trying to not keep you guys too late. So here's that short video, and I might talk through it. We'll see. 2.
Most people don't even realize this, Dennis. In 2019, in March and
to this.
April, the reports to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, this is in the United States, was 2 million in excess of what it was the year before.
Really?
2 million more.
Because of COVID
Because
lockdowns.
of COVID lockdowns. What they didn't realize, no one thought to ask the children.
This worldwide lockdown was the greatest mistake ever made on a worldwide basis. Not the greatest evil, the greatest mistake.
Yep.
People did not even ask, what will the consequences be?
Right.
The shattered lives that the lockdowns have brought with no saving of life
Nope.
is a disgrace to the medical profession, to the World Health Organization, to America, to Canada, to Australia. It's a disgrace.
Most people don't even realize this, Dennis. In 2019, in March and April, the reports to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, this is in the United States, was 2 million in excess of what it was the year before.
Really?
2 million
Because of
more,
COVID
guys.
Because of
lockdowns.
COVID lockdowns. What they didn't realize, no one thought to ask the children or think through the
Well,
children's eyes.
Why
What's
didn't
going to
they
happen
think
when you take away
about the
all
kids?
the
That's
safety
right.
nets that society has
That's
provided
right.
for children?
Doesn't matter.
Pedophiles are home alone with their computers. Kids are home alone with their computers.
We'll save one life.
boom.
We'll screw a million.
Yeah, and that's
Exactly.
what has happened. And what's really sick is when you think about the numbers. If you take those coaches and teachers that keep the kids safe, they all are in an age bracket that they have a 99.99% chance of surviving this thing, right? And the children even more if they were to get it. And you're exchanging that for what? For millions of additional cases
that?
of
2 million
potential child
additional
rape.
cases
It's just that
For
alone
lockdown,
should have been
to
enough.
save people
And
from
starvation
COVID, the people that are the least susceptible.
Well, we have the largest number of deaths due to a drug overdose in American history,
Yep.
thanks to COVID.
Yep.
It's all the lockdowns have done is ruin lives. That's all they've done. Children haven't seen other children
This
for
is
2
the part
years,
they don't
and people
talk
are
about
proud of it.
with COVID.
Okay,
guys.
don't start me because that's another one of my pet peeves.
Did you hear that? It's crazy. Think about that. They shut down the whole country for this perceived thing. Now, COVID's real. I'm not saying that it's not real, okay? COVID's real. It's a real thing. It's a, scary thing because it was new and we don't know much, and now we know more, and now people are over it, right? But I'm not saying that COVID wasn't a real threat, but the numbers don't lie, you guys. Look at 2 million more in that time frame, and you got to think about suicides, drug deaths, all these things happening because of the damage that these lockdowns have done. And yet we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. Why are we not talking about that? No one asked the kids. No one cared, because it was more about pandering and doing what the woke mob forced us to do. It was more about following the fear of this perceived threat instead of keeping us safe from actual threats. And that is something to really think about. What is the motivation there? While you think about that, before I talk about your comments, let's go and look at one of our sponsors. Miss Valerie has this amazing pizza place in town. Now, if you had good pizza, hers is amazing. It's the best tasting pizza I've ever had. And she's also an amazing lady. And she was just on the Backwoods Brothers show a week ago. And she's always fun. She brought us pizza. She's just the best. We just adore her. And she's so supportive of us as a family. She's supportive of us as the show, our nonprofit. She's supportive of everything. And she loves this town. And she loves America. And she loves kids. So watch this video and think about some good pizza. I love the part where she's dancing around in the pizza suit. So cute. She brought that last week, but we didn't have enough room in the studio for it. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Anyways, so I'll read some of your comments here. Sorry, my paintbrush is not doing what I want it to do. Darn it, I hate that. Someone said, I was asked today, why not substitute? I said, I don't ever want to step foot in a school again. That's sad. And you know what? I don't blame you, because look what's happened to our schools, you guys. And like teachers that want to do the right thing and want to just teach and be there for the kids and not indoctrinate and not get political, are basically being ousted right now, especially around here. And that's really sad. I know Riley's got a great teacher. We're really lucky, but not everybody has that, you know. Someone else said, look at our children. Hi, Kelly. Someone else said, I agree. I love Hitch and Post. Send some pizza to Vegas. That's my mom. Yeah, so it's just incredible to me that we, as a collective, basically would treat each other so horrendously for things like disagreeing on politics, not wanting to wear a mask because you feel it's your right, and it is your right, forcing others to wear a mask, forcing vaccinations, all these things that are perceived to help, but in reality, there's no proof of that. There's absolutely no proof of that. But you know what there is proof of? That these predators are out there. They're taking our children, they're taking adults, they are using the internet, they're using the sexuality of things, they're taking our weaknesses, they're taking this woke crap, and they're exploiting it. And instead of protecting our kids, protecting them from these real predators, we're too busy yelling at each other about a mask or a vaccine or pointing fingers because of a perceived issue. Now, the science has come out, CDC, all this stuff saying that it's not realistic. The masks don't work. You know, the vaccines aren't what we thought they were. And everybody's kind of forgotten about it, right? Because we're focused on Ukraine and all this other stuff going on. And it's interesting to me. I want to know what you guys think about this. And I really enjoyed Ibra last night. He had a really good perspective on some of this stuff and how it was all about control. Why can't we come together and fight for our kids? Why is that? Why are we so focused on beating each other up? And I've had this experience this week. Somebody attacking us, our nonprofit, for no reason whatsoever, because she has a political agenda. And instead of focusing on actually serving the community and helping, they're too busy picking people apart that are. Why don't we all come together and work together and serve and help these kids and help stop this crap? Because it's evil. That's what it is. It's pure evil. And if you turned a blind eye, once you know what's going on, if we turned a blind eye, we're no better than the ones doing this. And you guys know that. I know you know that. And I'm not saying anybody's bad here. I'm just saying we need to do something about this. And this is my new mission, is to get the word out there, to be talking about this. Stop making it something that we are hush-hush about. Stop letting the mass media dictate what we care about and start focusing on the things that are important. You know what I mean? And when I think about that, it really pisses me off. It pisses me off that so many people are still so focused on the racism or bigotry, or I need you to accept my pronouns. I need you to tell me that I'm a boy even though I'm biologically a woman, or I need you to let me compete in sports even though it's not fair, and all this stuff. We're focused on all this stuff, and it's a distraction from the real evils, you guys. We need to focus on the true problems. So, if you're pissed off as I am, you might want to get some of our Pissed Off Patriot gear. It's pretty awesome. And it's growing all the time. We've got some pretty cool shirts. I know Joel's got a couple pictures back there. I don't know if maybe he does or not. If he does, we've got some pretty cool new shirts out. One of them says something about speeding, and I don't know if he's got them back there. One of them is about the slap. They're both pretty funny. But anyways, if you want to see them, you can go to our website. But right now, how about you check out our Pissed Off Patriot line? Isn't that stuff awesome? I love it. We have a hoodie and it's so comfortable, and technically Joel got it for him, but I wear it too because I steal his hoodies all the time. Anywho, I know we started late and I'm trying to keep us on time still because, you know, we have lives, we've got things going on. Somebody says, oh, Joel says we have more stuff coming out too. Yeah, keep checking it because we have more stuff coming out all the time. All the time. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say throughout the week. I love it. You know, message us, comment on the things that we're posting. We're posting stuff all the time about issues like this. I really do believe that this is something that we should be talking about. This is something we should be fighting for. And the rest of it is just hogwash at this point. I'm so tired of being villainized because I'm white, for one thing. I'm tired of being villainized because I have conservative values. I'm tired of my friends being afraid to speak out because there's politicians that threaten them. I'm tired of it. And you know what? It's just getting old, you guys. And I think what we all need to do is come together, be there for one another, be there for our kids, most importantly, and fight for what's right. So beautiful. I can hear the sound effects, and it's really funny when Joel puts in like the funny ones. So I'm trying to finish this guy, eh? I'm trying to finish this flower real quick for you guys before we go because I want to show you what it looks like. I want to see if anybody has any more comments. I'd love to hear what your guys' ideas are on how we can combat this problem. There's lots of ways to do it, I know, and I'd love to hear of ways maybe we can. I want to start thinking about ways we can do some stuff locally to help our kids out, teach them the dangers of this stuff, focus on doing good things. That's what I like to focus on every day, serving the community, ignoring the crap that comes out, and just do good things and stop letting this stuff take over our life. So this is the purple one. I don't know if you can see that, but it started with dark purple, and then I have another purple. I've got about 5 colors in there to make the shades and stuff. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's fun to take a break from the words and do some actual painting, which is what I started with, which is funny. My friend Kaylin's the one who taught me how to do the words. Before that, I was just a painter. And so it's really nice to get back to that every once in a while. Anyways, you guys, I think you got my point tonight. We really need to focus on our kids in every way possible. Let's stop muzzling them. Let's stop sexualizing them. Let's stop putting them in situations of danger. Watch the internet content. Watch what they are looking at. Talk to them about what they're hearing at school. Be there for them. Have those conversations. And I hear my daughter is in the studio and wants to say hi. So if she wants to, she can come over here real quick. We're saying goodbye right now anyways. This is, everybody knows Riley.
Paint.
Yes, she likes painting too. Don't touch. Okay, go back to Daddy so I can say goodbye to everyone.
I stay here.
Oh, you want to say goodbye to everyone with me?
I stay here.
Okay, well, you guys have a good night. I'm sorry we were late. I hope that you take what we said to heart and you think about these things because these guys are our future. They're the most important thing. And their safety is the most important thing. And what? Oh, she wants to tell you guys something real quick before we say goodbye.
So there's always a future you every single second. There's a future you.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's a new second and maybe even a new minute, maybe even a new day, maybe even a new you.
That was really insightful, Riley.
I'm thinking you.
Anyways, thank you guys. We hope you have a good night. And how could you not want to keep this beautiful face safe at always? Right? We'll see you guys next week. Bye. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Look at the butterflies.
Butterfly.